Welcome to the Land Investing Business Secret Podcast, where each short episode we talk about the strategies, experiences, and the tools to help you launch, grow, and scale your land business. Learn how to find freedom within your own business, find out ways to build consistency in your processes, and hear how other everyday land investors are winning so you can get to the next step closer to building your dream life through your land business. And I'm your host of the Land Investing Business Secrets Podcast by Pebble, Jesse Kwong. Hey, how's it going? It's Jesse here of the Land Investing Business Secrets Podcast by Pebble. This is a really interesting show. A couple of people are working and putting together something and have put together something in the world of AI and machine learning and brought it to the land investing space. Their company is called ReWorked REI. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it's really interesting. Sounds super impactful. I'm very excited to share this episode here with you. Honestly, I could have kept going with this one, but I wanted to make sure that we got as much as we can out of not too lengthy of an episode. So before we get to that, this show is brought to you by Pebble. If you are looking to systemize, if you're looking to treat this as a business, if you are looking to build out your workflows, your SOPs, your task list, and build an actual team, and then a system that allows you to actually pivot, because we know that land constantly changes. I know some people say it's a passive business, and that can't be further from the truth. This is a business, and a business that requires time, and it requires optimization, requires changes along the way as well. So if you're looking for a platform to be able to support for all of that, head over to pebblerei.com, hit the pink button on the top right, book a demo, and jump on a call with myself, and we can see if this is even a good fit for you. Other than that, I hope you enjoy this show here with Fred and Shawm over at ReWorked REI. Hey, how's it going? It's Jesse here. I've got two guests here from ReWorked REI, Fred and Shawm. How are you both doing?
Yeah, great, Jesse. Thanks for having us. Really nice to see you again.
Awesome. Now, one of the tricky things about having two guests is like, who does the talking, right? So I'll let you guys figure it out. Nonetheless, it's really cool to have you here. I'm super excited to get a little bit of an understanding of what you guys are doing. And it's really cool to see some of the cutting edge things that people are doing in the space and really sort of impacting the space. So first of all, before we even talk about ReWorked REI, I think Fred, you're from the land side of things, and Shawm, correct me if I'm wrong, but Fred, tell us quickly here, how did you get started in the land?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I walked away from my traditional career, wanted some economic freedom, and more importantly, wanted time freedom, wanted my own time, wanted to stop traveling, stop doing all the moving every couple of years. Got into learning about land through Seth, a lot of people. Found Pebble, and I couldn't believe that Pebble just served it up in such an easy to digest. And before you know it, I was sending mailers and buying land, and I haven't looked back since.
Awesome, Fred. Thanks for sharing that. And so you've now also started what you're calling ReWorked REI. So for somebody who has no idea what ReWorked REI is about, Fred, Shawm, can you guys sort of sum it up here for us? What exactly are you guys doing there?
So when I was getting into land and sending mailers, I just couldn't get beyond the fact that sending several thousand, 5,000, listening to podcasts, people saying, send more mailers. I was sending 8,000 to 12,000 mailers a month, which got the deal flow going, right? I was buying properties, but I couldn't get past the tremendous amount of waste that I was experiencing, waste in my time and dollars going out the door, getting that invoice at the end of the month, $4,000 or $5,000 in mailers. And then there was one month where I had a bunch of mailers come back into my virtual mailbox, and that cost me money. So it was a double whammy. I ended up meeting Shawm because I sent him a mailer, and we ended up talking. And what we were talking about was the ability to apply intelligence to the mailing concept, right? To be a little smarter about it. And we started noodling around with some algorithms about how this could work. And we really wanted to apply artificial intelligence and machine learning to mailers, to smarten them up a little bit, to do the same thing that we see on our screens and our phones and TikTok and all these places, to bring that type of technology and sophistication so we could at least save half of the cost of our mailers. And that's what we've been able to achieve.
That's incredible. And that's really cool, Shawm, that you reached out to Fred after receiving some mailing from him. So that's really cool to hear. So you're talking about using AI to cut down on the amount of mailers you send out. How does that even work? What are you guys doing? Are you guys chopping out things and saying this, with an algorithm that this, tell me, how does that all work?
Let me lead it off, and then I'll pass it to Shawm because he's much more technical in this. But it's three basic components. One is data accuracy, right? Skip tracing. Is the information correct? A very rudimentary property assessment. Is it 10 feet wide by 1,000 feet long? What does a property look like? Is it in wetlands? And the demographics, right? Because there's no deal without an owner that wants to talk, right? So then it's looking at the demographics. So Shawm, I'll pass it to you to get some more detail around that because there's a lot more than what I just shared.
Yeah. So, hey, Gal, this is Shawm. Just a brief introduction about myself. I've been a programmer since a kid and I have about 16 years of technology experience. So when I got this mailer, I just bought land, somewhere in Texas, Austin, or whatever. And I got this call. I'm like, why is a mail? I'm like, why is somebody mailing me now? Because I just bought it. Like, I'm an investor. So I like technology and I like real estate. And I thought there's something in here where, we could have some disruption. So that's how we got engaged. And, we've started this beautiful thing. So Jesse, you were asking, how does this whole thing work? Of course, you might have heard of ML, machine learning, and what that really is it's a subset of the larger umbrella called artificial intelligence, right? So what machine learning is it combines math with programming. So, how do you apply math, like statistical math, to large, volumes of data sets and try and predict, something? In our case, it's basically predicting whether someone's going to get an inquiry or a deal. But, you might have heard of a lot of use cases like Netflix telling you what show you need to watch or Amazon telling you what you need to buy. And, a lot of various examples like that. And we can get into a little more specifics, as we go on.
Sure. Wow. That's crazy. So you guys are really writing an algorithm to be able to, again, as you mentioned, predict if somebody is going to engage with you or accept an offer.
Yeah, so we started down this road looking to predict inquiries, looking to see who's going to get back in touch with you. And that's where we started. And we made a lot of progress on that, but it was really hit or miss because as we all know, the emotional state of somebody when they get your mailer or when they get your text drives a lot as to whether they're going to get back in touch with you. If they're having a lousy day or they're having a great day. So we were getting anywhere between 75 and 94% of predictions on inquiries, which is,
wow.
It sounds good, but in our world, you miss one deal, you could miss a nice gem. And then one of our team members, we're going through this data, and one of our team members points it out to us and says, guys, we're getting a lot of the inquiries, but we haven't missed a deal. And that was a real eureka moment. We're like, wait a minute. Well, so we went down and we looked at all the historical data that we'd gathered over the last year from users, both active users and users that have given us some recent historicals. And we were able to predict every single deal that was gotten, both from the last 8 months and current. We only missed one. Well, we must admit we missed one, but that was a learning experience because it was such an outlier. And then we were able to incorporate that into it. But yeah, it's saying who is ready to do a deal. Now, what the property looks like, the individual investor is going to have to look at it, understand their own profit motive. It doesn't talk about the value of the property. It just says that person, that particular owner is ready for a deal.
Got you. So If I were to come in and say, hey, I'm going to give ReWorked REI a try, and what's that process like? Am I uploading a list? You're spitting something back out at me? How does that all sort of play out logistically?
Yeah, so I can take that. So yeah, so you sign up. Step one, customer uploads the data, right? So we currently support a few standard data sources in the industry like data tree, price, etc.
Mm.
But we're building more templates now. Of course, customer can upload a file that I've gotten from their county or wherever. We still have a translator on the side that they can use to map those columns, and we'll still process them for you. So step one, uploading the data. Step two, we augment the data from various data sources. The customer doesn't need to do anything, right? All they need to do is upload the data and sit back. Now the computer takes it forward. So we augment the data from various data sources. We get data like demographics, properties, skip trace. We enrich missing data and all of that. At the end of that process, step two, we have enriched data now, right? So step three is really where the magic sauce is, where the stuff happens, where the machine learning models kick in, and we assign a Betty score for each row in your file. Now, what exactly is this Betty? So we've basically named our algorithm Betty. So what Betty is doing in the background is it's running several iterations over the data and applying various algorithms like naive Bayes and KNN, random forest, etc., and picking a winner in the end. So I'm not going to disclose exactly which algorithm Betty picks usually, but maybe I can showcase one algorithm really quickly to kind of explain what that might look like, right? So let me explain what KNN looks like, nearest neighbors. So imagine a scatter plot where each point is basically a row, right? You can imagine that all your inquiries in these probably hover around together, right? They have some characteristics about them that make them kind of group them together. Now, a new row comes along, and you want to say, okay, is this going to be an inquiry or a deal? We basically check the distance from that grouping, right? The farther the
Mm.
distance, lower the Betty score, not inquiry. The closer it is, higher the Betty score, probably an inquiry or a deal. So, of course, I won't get into exactly how that grouping and that scatter plotting works. There's a lot of math involved. It uses some Euclidean distance or Manhattan distance and all these mathematical stuff that even I'm not too into. But of course, these libraries on the programming side help me with building those. The last step is once we have the Betty score, we sort the data, and that's it. The customer can now download the file, go to Pebble, upload it, and send a marketing campaign. The higher the Betty score, they include it. The lower the Betty score, they exclude it.
So to over and disgustingly simplify this, somebody is literally coming to you with a CSV file and literally ding, something comes out.
Yep.
And obviously there's a tremendous amount of pushing that goes on in the back there. And again, I'm grossly oversimplifying this, and then they come out with a list and you're ready to basically take that and start your direct marketing with that. Is that correct?
Pretty much. You nailed it, yeah.
You've nailed it to the head, Jesse. It's data up, data gets chewed on by Betty it can take 3, 4, 6 hours, depending on how much data augmentation. If Betty needs to go out and ping external databases to fill in some holes, it can take a while. And then Betty lets you know, sends you an email and says, hey, I'm ready. Your file is done. Your file is cooked. You go up and you pull your file back down. It's the exact same file. It's just reworked. It's in a different order. And then you'll see on the far right-hand side, it'll have the Betty predictive score and the mail don't mail. And then you can look at that and say, okay, that's where I drop my cutoff. I delete everything below that, or I copy it and paste it somewhere else. Then I take those and I drop it into Pebble. And then I'm doing my mailers. And I've just taken, if it's an 8,000 line file, 4,000 lines out of your mail that aren't going to return anything, right? So your return rates can go 2, 3, 4, 5%. And your dollars, we all manage our cash flow, right? We love having deals, but we all have to manage that cash flow, and we just take a lot of that expense out.
I know you're enjoying the show episode so far, but I wanted to let you know that if you are looking to build or scale a serious land business, perhaps a 6-figure second income or eventually a 7-figure land investing empire, Travis King's company, Land Investing Mastery, has the most current and innovative education in the space. Travis goes beyond the traditional microflip that you might be familiar with and shows you how to 10x your deal size and execute on strategies like subdividing, portfolio takedowns, land sniping. We're talking 6-figure per flip strategies. If you're getting your education from someone who isn't actively investing, you're more than likely going to hit some plateaus as you try to scale. If you want to learn how to avoid the saturated red ocean markets, skip over the small stuff, and learn how to become a boss land investor, then Travis is your guy. Travis has completed nearly 1,000 coaching calls in the last 2 years that I've known him, and he has his pulse on the market. He will tell you, though, Land Investing Mastery is not a factory. They're a boutique agency built on transformational, life-changing results. You see, I'm in a really unique position, and I really mean what I've just said above. In fact, I get to speak to a lot of investors from all sorts of different education, training, coaching background out there, and I get a very good view of things from all the one-on-one demo calls that I've done. Now, you may want some social proof. Head over to pebblerei.com/Travis and check out Travis's wall of love on his testimonial page. And while you're there, you can also learn more about Travis's training programs and his exclusive mastermind. So simply head over to www.pebblerei.com/Travis for more information. Right. So I want to go back a little bit here, and I want you guys to explain, as if you're explaining to my mother, not saying that our listeners are full of my moms, but can you explain what machine learning actually means to my mom? How would that sound like?
The way I think, using examples in our daily lives is probably the best way to understand what this really is, right?
Yeah.
By the way, just a side note, on YouTube, there's a channel called Explaining to a 5-Year-Old, which is just phenomenal, right? Like there's a guy who explains, concepts, to a 5-year-old, and then they progressively go up, right? Like where you're explaining the same concept to someone doing a PhD in that. And it's just like, you are taken through that journey. Just a side note.
I love that. I will definitely check. We'll probably dig for that, see if there's one for machine learning and include it in the show notes.
Absolutely. They'll probably do a much better job than I'm
Sure.
But I think, the most relevant example that we've all witnessed is probably Amazon's, shopping cart, right? Like it figures out your shopping habits, right? And then it suggests, hey, you searched for, diapers and baby food yesterday. Maybe, you have a baby, right? Maybe based on other people's habits, right? Like I have troves of data of people buying stuff. So based on other people's habits, I know that this is probably what you're going to buy next, right? And so that's essentially how, machine learning works, where someone has taken the pains, or someone or something has taken the pains to actually go through a lot of data and said, this is what, it's taught the computer something, right? So that's what machine learning is. Right. And then the machine has learned. Now it can say, okay, here's what we think you need to buy.
So Jesse, if we applied that concept for land investing, right? And I've talked to a lot of investors over the last 6-8 months when we're doing that. And there's a lot of really smart people out there that have their secret sauce of what they're looking for and how they scrub data and where they get their data, where they're going with the data, what they're looking for, right? And that learning that they've done over years is it's a similar concept for machine learning. It's just enabling it to happen in a fraction of a second at data speeds that are beyond what the human mind could ever comprehend. So it's doing what we know we need to do, but we just couldn't do it like that. We just couldn't, when I first started land investing, I'm listening, you got to scrub, you got to do this. And Jared, right, from RE Tipster is like, hey, he spends 3-4 days scrubbing. And I'm like, 3-4 days? I can't spend 3-4 days scrubbing. But I tried. And then I came to the conclusion I was probably making it worse, right? And then I was just mailing everything, right? But it's doing what the human mind would do if the human mind could do that.
Can I piggyback on that real quick, Jesse and Fred?
Yeah, absolutely.
That what Fred said about a human mind doing and some example of some individual who knows how to scrub. Imagine if you were to take the entire land investing community and apply all their ideas and concepts into one nice little, Betty. That's essentially what it is, right? Because you have all these anecdotal evidences of, okay, here's how I need to scrub from all these individuals, but really packaging that into this Betty thing and giving it to everybody essentially.
Got
Yeah.
you.
I mean, we've processed over 1 million lines of data and been able to learn from that. So it's a subset of the land investing community. But yeah, you're right, Shawm. It's the best of what everybody's doing out there. So if you're starting off new, this is going to help you be as smart and clever as the guys and gals that have been doing this for 10, 15 years.
I feel like, in a way, this is going to rewind me back to when I first started LAN and how much more receptives our list were back then. I mean, I kind of look at it that way. You're basically going to have a much more...
It's a target rich. Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly right. I mean, I hear people that have been in this for 8, 10 years, they talk about when they would send a mailer out, they would kill it, right? Because there weren't a lot of people doing it, but there's a lot of people doing it now. So you're sending 8,000 and getting 40 inquiries, which in today's world is like, wow, I got 40, 50 inquiries and 8,000. That's pretty good. I got 4 deals. It's terrible from an overall metric standpoint. If you could get that down to 2,800, and our engineers think that, okay, we're at 50%. They think they can get it down to 25%, that you can send 25% of your mailers.
Wow.
And now you really be cooking with gasoline at that point.
So tell me about what the next year looks like. What's the plan here, and what are, I'm sure there's challenges along the way. Can you sort of share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the roadmap for the next year, 2023, is, first and foremost, it's more of the same. And we built this company to really help people, right? It's given me a lot of freedom. We want to continue that methodology. Both Shawm and I are long-term investors, right? We are enjoying this as much as we're having fun, right? That being said, we're getting a lot of feedback from our clients and potential users. Hey, can it do this? Can it do that? So we're changing our pricing. We're going to add another component of, you can buy tokens, you can buy credits and then use it, because some land investors do a big blast in 1 month and sit on it for 3-4 months, and then they come back and do again. So we're going to change our pricing. As Shawm mentioned, we're adding more templates for adding on for uploading data. We want to make it as simple and easy as possible. We want to be able to capture deals and inquiries that people have been able to do. So we continue the learning part for Betty, but fundamentally we want to save people money, right? And by saving people money, we want to save trees, right? I mean, that's what started this whole conversation when you said, hey, you're going to plant some trees, which is great. We want to be a part of that too, right? Both Shawm and I are very passionate about doing the right thing, but if we plant trees and save trees, then it's a double hit.
I love that. For somebody who might be interested, and I'm just going to put it out there, right? I think this is worth trying and testing. You may be interested in splitting your campaign in half. Get some done by Betty over at ReWorked REI, and try it without it. And I think you're gonna be able to make the decision. And I'm sure you're gonna see there's gonna be some night and day results from what we're discussing here.
Yeah, and Jesse, that's exactly right. We've had clients that have said, hey, I'm gonna put my whole file in, get it reworked, but I'm gonna mail the whole thing, right? Just as a trust through validation. And they mail the whole thing. A couple of them have done it a couple times, and then they come back and they're like, yep, my inquiries are grouped here, my deals are here, and then they come back and be like, yeah, now we're ready to start saving. But we encourage anybody who's interested to reach out, right? Because I am constantly amazed by the different ways that people are doing it. If someone wants to try a test or to do something different, I mean, we're here for the investors to ultimately save money and get their deals. And there's no idea that we don't want to try.
I love that. So coming back to the logistical side of things, what is required to actually get that the data to you? Do they have to come from a certain data source? I know you guys said you're uploading and updating more templates, but what happens if they come with good old data from the county, or it's all messy? And how does that work with you guys, or is that not available just yet?
Shawm, you wanted to handle that?
Yeah, no, we have it. So we have a fairly, we have a translator where, you can basically map which column,
Okay.
is actually in the file.
Yeah.
So that Betty can understand, okay, hey, this is the column that they're referring to. Of course, there's some data points that we do need in order to even process the file. Obviously, coming with just like, here are the APNs might not actually quite work. So, some amount of data, the more the data, obviously, the better.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
we've had a couple of clients, Jesse, that bless their hearts, they look to scrub before they give it to Betty. And we've had some results come back, and Shams reached out to me, and he's like, something's not right with this file. So in talking to the client, I'm like, did you scrub this before you gave it to Betty? Well, yeah, of course. Okay, that's not what we want to do. We'll reset your credits. Put the raw file in there, right? Up to and including they were taking out columns, right? And no, the raw data going in there, and the more the better.
There's a lot of fuzziness around AI or machine learning. A lot of people still aren't fully aware of these things. What are those typical things you typically hear from people who, what do they ask you when it comes to, AI or Betty, and how do you guys sort of address that?
Yeah, there's in our society as a whole, there's knowledge, there's awareness of AI, but the knowledge is very thin, and myself included, right? And what the main question we get is, but how does it work? What does it look at? But tell me how. And there's one client in particular, he's fantastic. He really wanted, not for a nefarious reason, he wanted like the ingredient list of what it looks like. And when Shawm and I sat down a year ago and sketched out what a client and a property looks like on a whiteboard, and Shawm started creating algorithms, I could relate to what was there to say, well, it's what the property looks like, access, wetlands, size, and the last transaction, all of these components. But now Betty has taken what we created and added the knowledge that she's gained over what has actually transpired. So it went from my thoughts and Shawm's as a fellow real estate investor of what a good property is, to literally hundreds of thousands of properties that have gone through the system to learn. So there's reluctance, right? We all know it's there. We all know in our phone there's AI in play. We read about it in trades and stock trades, automatic stock trades. The next big frontier is medical sciences, predicting and understanding cancer and how to battle these diseases. They're using AI, and fortunately, unfortunately, it's so complex, it's almost impossible to explain. And I think what Shawm hit on earlier, it's the amalgamation of all the land investors' ideas and concepts into one, that whether you're just starting off, whether you're at this for 10 years, you're going to get the benefit of that at your fingertips. I mean, you're going to get what Google and Amazon and all these big heavy hitters have been spending all this money on. And here we are putting it together that's available for the average land investor at a 2 to 3 cents a piece of property.
Let me ask you this: you guys are basically reworking the list, and they can chop out a chunk. Those are the ones that they shouldn't mail out to. Can Betty at this point categorize or filter out or scrub out for you certain things that you're looking for? Like, is there sort of is there a way to sort of choose the kind of criteria that you're looking for?
Yeah,
Not yet. Yeah, but that's been a question, right? Of how can a user customize it for me? Can I have some questions for Betty and tell Betty, my name's Joe, and I'm looking for these types of properties, and these are my profit expectations. This is my, whatever. And we've got a list that we've created, this wizard that's in development right now. We were thinking it was going to be January, but it might be in December that it's going to be released. So that will allow Betty to say, okay, I've got all this knowledge, and I'm going to take what you, Jesse, are looking for based on these wizard questions, these drop downs, right? It can't be fill it in because Betty won't be able to read that. It's going to be these drop downs, and then Betty's going to say, okay, now I know what you are looking for. And that front end customization, that's exactly one of the things that we're working on. Thank you.
I love it. Guys, Fred, Shawm, I know this is just the beginning for you guys, and it sounds very exciting. I'd love to catch up with you guys at a future time and see how things are going. Obviously, things are still developing here with you guys, and you guys are doing some incredible things. From the whole land investing community, we want to say thank you for exploring something that has not been explored yet, especially on the scale that you guys are doing. So thank you for the value you guys are bringing. Now, before we wrap up on the show, how can they find you guys? Where can they follow you? Where can they find you? And how can they engage with you guys?
Right. So ReWorkedREI.com is our website. We're on Instagram at ReWorked REI, Facebook at ReWorked REI. And on our webpage and Instagram is our phone number, right? And my email address. You can drop me a line. You can DM me. More than welcome to have a conversation. And Jesse, thank you for what you guys have put together at Pebble. I know from personal experience, you've got a great team, and you've been very responsive when I was a user. And thanks for helping us get the word out, because this is, it's word of mouth and sharing amongst people that there's opportunities to do things better.
Absolutely. I think what you guys are doing, this definitely needs to be heard. So thank you guys. Again, definitely going to be following up with you guys to have you on another show here. But Fred, Shawm, thank you for sharing all your hard work that you guys are doing behind ReWorked REI.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks.
Bye. Before you stop this episode or hit the next episode, I want to personally thank you for listening to this episode of the Land Investing Business Secrets podcast by Pebble. If you found this helpful, we'd greatly appreciate any awesome reviews and ratings on whichever platform you are listening to this on. And if you have 2 minutes and wanted to step it up even more and help others, feel free to share this in other Facebook groups or pages or any communities, giving others a heads up of the Land Investing Business Secrets podcast or the specific episode that may help them on their land investing journey. Once again, thanks so much for listening, and catch you on our next episode.